Hello everybody, this is Michelle Fox and welcome back to The Simple Quilter. Today we're going to be discussing two irons that I use that I like. The first one is the Chai Professional Iron, and the second one is the Oliso Smart Iron. Now this is the Oliso TG1600 Pro Plus. This is actually, I think it's called the Jenny. I ordered this from Missouri Star Quilt Company. So today it's going to be a comparison of these two irons. Now before we get started, I want to ask you what iron you use. Please leave that in the comments below. I love to get the comments. It's one of my favorite parts of doing YouTube videos. So please be sure to leave a comment down below. Now before we get started, I'm going to tell you the three things that are important to me regarding irons. Number one, I want an iron to get really hot because I like for it to press my seams flat, and I like my quilted projects to lay very flat. And I believe the more heat, the flatter the items get, well, without scorching them. Okay, the second thing that is important to me is steam. I love to use steam when I press. I believe it gives me a flatter, crisper press to my seams, so I like a lot of steams. And the third thing that I have to have regarding an iron is an automatic shutoff. Simply because I don't want to walk off and burn down our house. So having an automatic shutoff is a must in any iron I purchase. Okay, so let's start with watts. The Chai has 1700 watts. The Oliso has 1800 watts. Now, the more watts you have, typically the more power you have. So it could cause your iron to heat up faster, be able to put out more powerful steam burst. So that is what watts means. And typically, the more watts, the more powerful the iron. Both of these irons do have an automatic shutoff. In 30 minutes, these irons shut off if they're not touched. Now, if the Chai is, if you iron with it and set it back up, your 30 minutes starts over. The same thing with the Oliso. If you start to iron and set it up, every time you do that, you have another 30 minutes. So the 30 minutes begins when you set the iron upright, or in case of the Oliso, you leave it down, it will shut off in 30 minutes. Now both of these irons have an automatic shutoff. If the iron falls over on the side like this, it will shut off in 60 seconds. So if the iron gets tipped over like this, again, both of these irons will shut off in 60 seconds. Now again, that's an important factor for me because we do have a dog here, and if for some reason he knocked my ironing board over, I would definitely want those irons to shut off, especially if they were still within that 30-minute period of being hot. Okay, another important feature, like I mentioned previously, is steam. Now the Chai has over 300 plus vent holes in it. When I counted those on the Oliso, I counted 17. And to me, that's a significant difference. And I feel like the Chai does deliver lots of steam, which is an important feature to me. Now, as far as weight, both irons are heavier irons. So if you're looking for a light iron, I don't believe either of these are going to be for you. Okay, now both irons do have ceramic sole plates. So you can see the sole plates coming off, but that was no type of manufacturer defect. That's simply because I damaged that using a sole plate cleaner before the iron had completely cooled. Now, most irons have a little detailer tip where you can, like if you're ironing a button-up collar or just where your blouse buttons up, you can fit that in there and move around the buttons. The Oliso, this is kind of small. I don't know how much space is in there, but you could maybe get into that a little bit to iron around a button. But this has a 2-inch detailer tip, so you can get 2 inches up into the collar or up and around buttons. So that is a neat feature, and this has 2 inches and this doesn't have near that. So I would say that's a plus for this iron. Now, the cord length has never been a super important component for me, but it could be for some of you. The Chai has a 10-foot cord. The Oliso, this iron, has a 12-foot cord. So you have 2 more feet of cord on the Oliso. Now, this is an interesting part of these irons. The Chai iron rests on its heel. It rests vertically like this. The Oliso iron can rest this way, or it can set on the sole plate, which at first it was really hard for me to get used to that because, you know, my whole life I've been using irons that sit upright. Now, there are a couple of reasons why I think this is perhaps a superior feature. Number one, it's less likely to get tipped over, in my opinion. I think that if it's resting like this, it's going to be safer than getting tipped over. And as we age, constantly lifting an iron can really cause a lot of shoulder pain in people who have had shoulder injuries or whose musculature isn't very strong there, which is often common as we age. So that is a neat feature with that. Now, it is a little worrisome for me because it does rest horizontally. Now, this is a smart iron. This is another important superior feature of this iron, I would say. When you touch the iron, it lowers down. When you release it, it raises up. So even though it's stored horizontally, it's not actually sitting right on top of the ironing board fabric. It's off the surface of the ironing board cover. So I think that's neat. And because you're not having to constantly lift it and set it down and lift it and set it down, ergonomically, this definitely has a more ergonomic design, and it's going to be a little bit easier on the shoulder and the wrist. I want to talk about another feature of both of these irons, and that is where you add the water. Now this Chai just has a little opening there. You just flip that up and it has a little opening. The Oliso has a side approach to filling the iron, which I kind of like, and it has a built-in funnel, which I think is pretty cool. And I do have to say I've had fewer spills filling my Oliso than my Chai. Now, if you live in an area that has hard water, the instructions for the Chai say that you should alternate. One time you should fill it with tap water, the next time you should fill it with distilled water. Now, that's a little hard for me to remember. Honestly, I'm not going to remember that. So that's, if you're really going by the manufacturer's instructions, that's going to be a hard one for me to follow. Now, to fill the Oliso iron, it takes 2 cups of the cup that came with it. So Oliso recommends that you use 1 cup of this with tap water and 1 cup of distilled water to use in the water basin for this. Now, I can do that. So I do use a combination of distilled and tap water in my Oliso. Now let's talk about warranties. Now the Chai has a 2-year warranty and the Oliso has a 3-year warranty. You can look up the specifics of those warranties before you purchase an iron, and if the warranty is a super important part for you, then you'll want to take a look at those, because as you know as well as I do, warranties vary greatly from one product to the next. Now, I'm not going to talk exact cost on these irons, but I will give you a ballpark range. Now, the chai runs anywhere from $65 to $70, of course, plus shipping and handling if you don't buy it at your local store, and tax as well. And the Oliso is going to cost you anywhere from $200 to $210 plus tax and shipping and handling if you are not in an area that has a quilt shop that sells them. So that is a big, big difference. When considering purchasing a new iron, I think it's most important to understand before you ever even go to the store is which features are most important to you. Is it how hot the iron gets, or how much steam the iron puts out? Is it the fact that it has an automatic shutoff or it doesn't? Is cost an important factor? And to most of us, the cost is. In fact, the Oliso could be cost prohibitive for many people. In the comments below, please let me know which feature is most important for you when you purchase an iron. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you enjoyed today's video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Please share with a friend. And as always, leave a comment. I love to get the comments. I try to respond to each and every comment that's posted. So until next time, have fun quilting.